それではただいまよりコミュニティパワー国際会議2014 in 福島を開催いたします。本国際会議は昨日南相馬において被災地視察及びタウンミーティングを行い、本日はこの福島市において国際会議の1日目を開始いたします。明日はですね、喜多方において国際会議の2日目を行います。本国際会議は認定 NPO 法人環境エネルギー政策研究所の主催にて開催いたします。共催は福島再生可能エネルギー事業ネット、一般社団法人会津自然エネルギー機構、名古屋大学丸山研究室持続可能な風力利用研究プロジェクト、こちら三井物産環境基金の助成案件でございます。また、一般社団法人エコエネ南相馬研究機構、協力は一般社団法人福島会議、コミュニティパワーイニシアチブ、21世紀のための自然エネルギー政策ネットワーク、EU 第7次研究枠組み計画 CBIS プロジェクト、公益財団法人自然エネルギー財団、脱原発を目指す首長会議、一般社団法人エネルギーから経済を考える経営者ネットワーク会議、100% 自然エネルギー世界キャンペーン、パタゴニア日本支社でございます。講演は福島県、福島市、喜多方市、南相馬市、ドイツ大使館、デンマーク大使館、スウェーデン大使館、カナダ大使館、駐日欧州連合代表部、農林水産省、環境省、経済産業省、復興庁でございます。特別協賛としまして、新日本有限責任監査法人、地球環境基金、フリードリヒ・エーベルト財団に支援をいただいております。それでは、開会挨拶及び来賓挨拶に入らせていただきます。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Community Power Conference 2014 in Fukushima. We are very happy to see all of you at this Fukushima place. 皆さん、ようこそ福島にお越しくださいました。私は長年福島県の再生可能エネルギーの普及推進に関わり、地域に利益を循環させる地域主導の再生可能エネルギー事業の取り組みを推進する福島再生可能エネルギー事業ネットの代表をしておりますいわき明星大学の東と申します。本日は県内はもとより全国および遠く世界各地から地域主導の再生可能エネルギー事業に関わっていらっしゃる方々にご参集いただき、第3回コミュニティパワー国際会議がこの福島県において盛大に開催されることを大変嬉しく思っております。基調講演を引き受けてくださったステファン・シューリグさんをはじめ、コーディネーター、パネリストの皆様方、そしてこの会議の準備にご尽力をいただいた関係者の皆様に心から感謝を申し上げます。さて、2011年3月11日、東日本大震災が日本の東北地区に被害を及ぼしました。さらに、地震、津波の影響を直接受けて、福島第一原子力発電所の事故が起こり、これを機に日本のエネルギー政策の見直しが行われるようになりました。2012年7月からは、日本では初めての再生可能エネルギーの固定価格買取制度が導入されるなど、再生可能エネルギーを取り巻く状況と、再生可能エネルギーに対する市民や事業者等の認識は大きく変化したと思います。そして各地で様々な取り組みが見られるようになりました。ここ福島県においても自治体、そして地域の人たちが力を合わせて新たな電力会社を作り、将来を見越した事業を立ち上げようと頑張っております。そのような状況のこの福島の地で、コミュニティパワー国際会議2014が開催されることになりました。コミュニティパワー国際会議は、2012年に東京都、2013年に山口県で開催されています。昨日は南相馬市で津波等の被害状況の視察、タウンミーティングも行われました。本日の福島市と明日の喜多方市の会議では、講演、 テーマごとのディスカッションなど、再生可能エネルギー事業に取り組んでいる方々の経験や創意工夫などについて議論が活発にされることになっています。とても貴重なお話が、そして世界中の専門家の話を聞くことができる非常に貴重なチャンスだと思います。ぜひ積極的に議論に参加してくださるようお願いいたします。また、これからご紹介される事例や議論される内容を参考にされ、再生可能エネルギーと地域の活性化を上手に結びつけられ、そして福島県の再生につながることを願っております。最後に、この会議が実り多いものとなりますことを心から記念申し上げ、そして開催にあたって準備をいただいた皆様方に再び感謝を申し上げて、最初のご挨拶とさせていただきます。本日はどうもありがとうございました。
では続きまして、福島市長小林薫様にご挨拶をお願いいたします。
皆さんどうもおはようございます。福島市長の小林薫でございます。本日はコミュニティパワー国際会議2014がこの福島市において、開催されますことを、福島市長として28万市民を代表しまして心より歓迎いたします。今、福島県の、そして福島市の最大の課題は、いかに県民が、市民が安心して暮らせる環境を取り戻すかということでございます。そのため、福島市も原発事故後、除染に積極的に取り組んでおりますけれども、私は、この福島市の将来を考えた場合にもですね、除染だけでは復興にはならないということを強く申し上げております。除染はマイナスの状態をゼロに戻す作業に過ぎません。福島市の将来に希望が見えるようにするためにも、新たな取り組みが必要だと考えています。そのためにも、私は再生可能エネルギーの取り組みをこの福島市で大々的に行っていく必要があると訴えております。私が最初に環境問題に関わりを持ちましたのは、私が財務省、大蔵省に勤務しておりました1999年、2000年の頃でございます。その時、世界銀行に炭素基金、プロトタイプカーボンファンドを作るという動きがございまして、私が当時の大蔵省でですね、そのことを担当しておりました。今でいうその排出量取引でございます。当時の大蔵省の中は、排出量取引なるものについて全く懐疑的でございまして、国が排出権を持って一体何になるのかと、排出権というものは財産的価値があるのかというような議論でございました。けれども、私は日本の将来を考えたときに、いつまでもその排出量取引なるものに懐疑的な態度を取るのではなく、積極的に参加してこそ、日本の将来にとって有益であるというようなことを、財務省の中で主張しまして、日本の国からですね、炭素基金にお金を出すことにいたしました。それが、1999年、2000年頃でございます。私はこの福島市長としまして、この福島市を環境最先端都市福島と呼ばれるようなところにしていきたいと考えています。財務省の後、私は環境省に勤務することになりましたけれども、平成の16年から、17年頃ですね、今から10年前、9年前、頃になりますけれども、各地域における再生可能エネルギーの取り組みを支援する機会がございました。 本日も長野県の飯田市から原さんが参加されていますけれども、長野県の飯田市、岡山県の備前市の市民共同出資の太陽光発電などの支援をしてきております。再生可能エネルギーは、最近ですとエネルギーの地産地消ということが言われますけれども、再生可能エネルギーは地域で使われていない資源、捨てられていた資源を有効に活用するという意味で、まさにそのエネルギーの地産地消に最も適している取り組みと考えています。長野県の飯田市、それから岡山県の備前市の取り組みは、その後も拡大してですね、今では日本中から注目される取り組みになっておりまして、私も大変喜んでおります。福島県内でも実は私はいわき市に対してですね、その再生可能エネルギーの取り組みを支援しておりまして、木質バイオマスの活用、あるいは温泉熱の活用などの取り組みを支援してきております。ぜひ福島市長としましては、この福島市においてもですね、そうした取り組みを今後やっていきたいと考えております。この再生可能エネルギーの取り組みですけれども、防災あるいはその災害対応という点でも非常に今後重要になっていくと考えております。私は2011年3月の東日本大震災当時、環境省の仙台市にあります東北地方環境事務所の所長をしておりました。東北地方環境事務所の所長として数ヶ月間震災対応に当たったわけですけれども、被災地を青森県八戸市から福島県のいわき市まで何度となく、原発周辺の4町村を除いてくまなく回りましたけれども、その中で一つこの再生可能エネルギーに関連する、注目すべきことがございました。石巻市に日和山というところがございます。石巻市は津波によって大きな被害を受け、多くの方が亡くなっております。震災当日、当夜もですね、海にほど近い日和山という小高い山にたくさんの方が避難しました。電気は落ち、辺りは真っ暗闇ですけれども、そこにですね、太陽光パネル、小さい太陽光パネルがついている、そして蓄電池もついている街灯が3基ほどございまして、辺り一面真っ暗闇、とても寒い中、その太陽光パネルのついていた街灯だけがですね、明かりを灯してくれていたということでございます。避難された方は、その街灯の明かりにですね、とても勇気づけられたということを聞いております。そしてまた、暗い中をその街灯をめがけて、たくさんの方が避難してきたということを聞いております。これからの社会づくり、都市づくりを考えたときにもですね、再生可能エネルギーの活用はとても重要だと思います。そして、その再生可能エネルギーの取り組みについて、地域の方々が一緒に参加していくということが、これからのエネルギーの取り組み、まちづくりにおいて、とても重要になってくるのではないかと思っています。このコミュニティパワー、国際会議、これが 今後の福島の復興のために有意義になることを心よりご記念いたしまして、私の挨拶とさせていただきます。
それでは続きまして、福島県企画調整部長、森合正則様よりご挨拶いただきます。
皆様、福島県にようこそおいでくださいました。私、福島県の企画調整部長、森合でございます。2011年3月、福島県は地震、津波の被害に加え、東京電力福島第一原子力発電所の事故と、その被害の甚大さによって、その名が世界に知られるようになりました。今もおよそ14万人の福島県民が避難生活を送っております。私たちはこの状況を単なる悲劇で終わらせるのではなく、私たちの成長や社会変革の契機にしたいと考えました。そのため福島県は原子力に依存しない社会を作ることを復興の理念に据えて、2040年頃を目途に、県内で必要とするエネルギーの 100% を再生可能エネルギーで生み出すという高い目標を掲げたところであります。この目標達成に向けて、県自らも発電会社を設立して、福島空港を活用し、メガソーラーを建設しているほか、浮体式洋上風力発電システムの実証研究や、本年4月に開所する福島再生可能エネルギー研究所、そして海外の先進地との連携などによって、再生可能エネルギー先駆けの地を目指してまいります。福島復興のスローガンは、福島から始めようであります。この言葉には、一人一人が復興に向けてできることから始めていこうという意味が込められています。福島県の復興の道のりは長いものと考えております。一歩一歩確実に復興への道を歩んでまいります。世界中の皆様からの変わらぬ温かいご支援をよろしくお願い申し上げます。結びに3日間、この国際会議におきまして、多くの出会いと発見があり、新たな協力関係やプロジェクトが生まれ、ここ福島から未来に向けての新しい流れが作られることを心からお祈りし、ご挨拶とさせていただきます。よろしくお願いいたします。
それでは基調講演といたしまして、100% 自然エネルギー社会の実現と題しまして、ワールドフューチャーカウンシル、ステファン・シューリグ様より講演をいただきます。
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, dear Mr. Mayor Kobayashi, and dear Mr. Higashi and Mr. Moriai, dear Tetsu, and dear ICEP team, thank you very much for having me here, coming to Fukushima. I must say, from our visit yesterday to Minamisoma, I returned really deeply impressed and deeply moved by what I've seen, what a technology can actually do to our society, to our people, but also moved by the discussion we had with the people from the region, and also moved by sort of the optimism within this crisis to move on and to convert the nuclear disaster and the negative connotation of Fukushima into something positive and to move towards 100% renewable energy. I like to express my deep solidarity with the people from Fukushima, and I'd like to offer our support. Whatever we can do to help in moving towards 100% renewable energy is what we can offer. I'd like to sort of give a little bit of a kickstart of the discussion about the energy transformation that we are faced with, not only in Japan, but in all parts of the world with different aspects. And it is clearly about leaving behind an energy system that obviously has some issues, that obviously also had brought us some positive effects and positive impacts, but clearly that has huge problems. I'd like to start with a quote from Thomas Edison, who, as you know, was one of the founder of General Electric, an energy expert, if you like, 120 years ago. He said, we are like tenant farmers chopping down the fence around our house for fuel when we should be using nature's inexhaustible sources, such as sun, wind, and tide. And then he said, I put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power. I hope we don't have to wait until we run out before we tackle that. This gentleman was obviously very wise. However, he didn't know anything about the emergence of nuclear power, and he didn't know anything about the problems related to the combustion of such a valuable resource called fossil fuels. Actually, I think we shouldn't call it fossil fuels anymore. It's not a fuel, it's a resource. It's a highly, very, very valuable resource, which we are burning for the purpose of kinetic energy or thermatic energy. And I think we shouldn't be doing that in the future. So Thomas Edison said this in 120 years ago, 1920, or 100 years ago. What happened then? If you look on the map, this was 1900. Unfortunately, we did not really follow his words. We sort of kept going with this invented self-perpetuating cycle of producing energy, building bigger machines that help us to get more hold of energy, to build, again, bigger machines, and to get use of more energy, and so on and so forth. So we sort of moved on with this automatization of our societies. We invented television, we invented airplanes, then we came up with nuclear power. And certainly this self-perpetuating cycle, what we call automatization, certainly brought us a lot of benefits, clearly. We've sort of spread democracy, we've acknowledged human rights, we have the internet, you know, these are all positive things. And I think what is the energy transformation about is not going back to 1900 or 1800. It's about saving the positive aspects of industrialization, but getting rid of the problems. What are the problems related to that? Well, one of the big problems is what we've seen yesterday in Minamisoma, which is related to nuclear power. It's the proliferation risk, it's the threat of a nuclear accident, it's the unsolved waste problem of nuclear power. Just this alone are such huge, overwhelming problems that we had reason enough to transform our energy sector. But it's not only the nuclear threat. Our energy system at the moment also builds on the combustion of fossil fuel, which leads to a problem that we've called climate change. With devastating impacts already in many parts of the world. We've reached the level of 400 parts per million in the atmosphere of CO2 just recently, and we are definitely on the wrong course to stay below the dangerous 2 degrees benchmark. At the moment, scientists are telling us that we are on the pathway towards an average temperature increase of the world of 4 or 5 degrees. So this is a picture I've taken from the bus when we went to the climate conference in Doha a year ago, or 1.5 years ago. These posters were flagged, or these flags were everywhere in the city, welcoming us, saying, welcome to the below 2 degrees world, yeah? Saying we all need to stay below the 2 degrees. But if you look at the picture, those who are familiar with the mathematics know they got it wrong. It's actually saying, welcome to the beyond 2 degrees world. So they unfortunately got it wrong. The PR agency did something wrong about it. Okay, well, they noticed only too late, 5 days after everyone had been welcomed, they removed all pictures and added these ones, yeah? I'm using this. I've taken both of my pictures, so I've witnessed this myself. So I'm using is not that I don't know that PR agencies can make these mistakes, yeah, but it was so apparent and it was so telling for the status of seriosity, for the spirit of seriousness we give to the 2 degrees benchmark, that I thought I will be just using this up and down and telling us that we are on the wrong track while we speak. Especially when it comes to money, especially when it comes to using official taxpayers' money. As you know, the International Energy Agency is not very suspicious to speak in favor of renewable energy. Only recently they changed, but they say that 6 times more subsidies are going into the combustion of fossil resources than into renewables. And we still rely on this system. We still design our cities in this way around using cars and, and we're not, the rights of people is less important than the right of a street. This is very symbolic here in China, a little city where they just, ignored the fact that those people didn't want to sell their house, so they just built a street along the house, and finally they, of course, removed the house. So I've checked it. This also increases other problems, such as pollution. Here's the picture of the city of Bangkok. So this is the status quo of our energy sector. And these are the big problems: climate change, pollution, and the nuclear threat. And I want to use the rest of my presentation to look more positively into the future, and to give you a little bit of an example of my own home country, which is Germany. So the current status of the energy sector in Germany, I would say, we have left the station and we are in the transformation mode. Where we are coming from? Well, we're still burning a lot of coal and lignite. We are not hesitating of still spending a lot of taxpayers' money for hard coal combustion, also to some extent for lignite mining. We are still relocating people for the purpose of getting hold of this dirty coal, basically for the purpose of burning it and boiling water with it. This is still the way of energy production. As I said, we are removing whole villages. If there's a church, well, we just move it away. The rest is just gone with the excavator. But sometimes you just can't remove something, which is in Erkelenz the case. Just a few months ago, this is a picture from the beautiful cathedral in Erkelenz. This is now just destroyed. And what you see behind and what they leave behind is just this. You just remove whole villages, our stories, everything that's connected to the local communities, basically been excavated away for the purpose of electricity production. We are still doing this. Yes, we are doing this in Germany, and we still have nuclear power plants in Germany, and we have been using a lot of subsidies for the energy production of coal, out of coal and out of nuclear energy. And if you compare the investments that went into nuclear energy and that went into the combustion or the import of hard coal or the mining of hard coal in Germany, then you see that the support the renewable energy sector got in the last years is just still in the minority. So this is the country map of Germany, and this is the big 4 energy companies that were basically ruling the game of the energy sector in Germany for many decades. This is where we were coming from. RWE, E.ON, EnBW, and Vattenfall also owned the electricity grid. So imagine you are a car manufacturer and you own the country roads and you own the autobahns and you own even the streets in the cities. Well, then basically you are ruling the game. And this is how the energy sector was. And I hope that it works. The next slide is actually a video which shows you why the big energy companies are so deadly opposed to renewable energy. Where is it? It is a map of Germany, and it's data from students from the Dutch university that put all the data from solar installations together, and just showing you the last 5 years of solar installation on rooftops in Germany. So now imagine you're an energy producer and you see thousands of people basically challenging your business model. Challenging a business model of producing energy and determining the price for it. This is what the energy sector is like in Germany at the moment. We are coming from what I've just described, but we're also moving towards renewable energy. So my next slide is the slogan we have been using for this factor is basically power to the people, empowering people to build their own energy facilities on their rooftop to produce, to basically convert the energy that is on their rooftops, that surrounds them, to convert them into electricity. So this is the consequence of a legislation called feed-in tariffs. You're familiar with it because in Japan you've just implemented a similar mechanism. Basically, it is a game changer because it obliges energy companies to buy the electricity that you produce so that you can feed it into the grid and you get a reasonable amount of payment back for the product that you give. In Germany, we've increased the renewable energy development from 3% in 1990 to from 3% in the year 2000 to 25% in the year 2010. This is the grid balance. What you can see here is a month of, oh, thank you so much for relieving me with this. Okay. Have you changed the plug, or so should I be using mine, or? Now it's working. Yeah, now it's working. It's great to speak about the transformation of energy when you're running out of battery in your computer. So I have to speed up, and I think it is symbolic for the subject of my presentation, that we actually have to speed up in transforming our energy into being renewable and not dependent on something that we can't really control, obviously. So let's hope that this works now. So this just is a picture of 1 month in the June, from May to June 2013 in the grid. The red line is the electricity consumption, and the yellow and the blue one is the wind production. So what it says is that only on one day we produced 13.9 gigawatt wind and this amount of solar. Basically saying that almost 30% on a sunny day, working day in Germany, a country with more than 80 million people, on a working day, some 30% is coming only from solar. And that only happened in the last 10 years. Isn't this amazing? I'm allowed to say that because I also explained the downside of the energy sector in Germany before. So I think this is, we are really in the transformation phase at the moment, and you can see here how the energy generation is steadily but slowly sort of changing from from the monopolistic, centralistic system out of coal and nuclear, then towards step by step to renewable energy. The consequence of that is that the costs of solar PV decreased massively in the last 10 years, but especially also in the last 2 to 3 years, because of the increased demand. So that basically says costs is not an issue anymore for renewable energy. And I've been doing this work on energy issues now for more than 20 years. And we don't have to really be worried about the costs anymore, because the cost curve is so clearly advocating our target that it is at some point not a question anymore of may renewables be able to deliver, but maybe they are too fast for the energy companies to adapt their business model to a decentralized energy production system. Even the conservative government under Chancellor Merkel, who were usually suspicious to set very, very conservative targets and to rather promote the interests of the coal energy or the nuclear industry, set an ambitious target of 80% electricity production in the next 3.5 decades. 80%. And everyone who's familiar with the situation in Germany knows that this is indeed a conservative target. So we could go beyond that and could switch easier to 100% primary energy actually in the last years. So you've reminded, or you can remind the pictures that you've seen from Germany from the coal mines, but these are the positive sides that you see. When you take a train ride through Germany, you see this picture really everywhere. There are very few rooftops that don't have solar. I have a good anecdote for you. A couple of years ago, I think some 10 years ago, I went to the school inauguration of one of my nieces, and I saw pictures, paintings, or kids' drawings. And the motive was obviously then draw a house. So there was a house, and everyone had drawn windows and doors and a chimney. Yeah? Just recently, something similar happened to me, and I saw kids' drawings of houses in Germany. But almost half of them, depending on the perspective, of course, almost half of them had solar cells on the rooftop. It is part of the society now. Using the electricity that surrounds you is part of the game, and people have basically, or it's basically deeply embedded in the society. And you see the amount of wind turbine installations here. It's just, it doesn't mind, or it's not important even if it's 500 more. It just gives you a suggestion, or it gives you an idea about how many wind turbines there are installed in Germany. What have been the main drivers of the energy transition? Summarizing that, it is clearly the jobs and the economic participation effect, meaning 350,000 jobs only in the renewable energy sector. It is, of course, the public pressure due to the threats of climate change and nuclear power. It is the increasing recognition of the energy, of the renewable energy capacity. What renewable energy, it is actually a very serious business. It is just not minor things that you can have and that is nice, and we have our turbine here, but it's really big, important business. And of course, national and international targets coming from the European Union have sort of been one of the main drivers, increasing and expected cost increase of the combustion of fossil fuels. And for Europe, it's also the question of energy dependency. In Europe, we have like 50% of imported energy resources at the moment, and it will most likely increase to 70% in the next decade. So energy dependency and the interest of becoming independent of energy is important. The next slide is just sort of summarizing one of my major points I want to make here. There is, if you ask people, are you in favor of renewable energy? Then people say, yes, I am in favor. Yeah, and that's what I call the socio-political acceptance, or what the Zurich University called the socio-political acceptance aspect. People are generally in favor of it, but that doesn't help you really in implementing new infrastructures for renewable energy on the ground. You need to convert these socio-political acceptance or general support for renewable energy into the community acceptance. And the key towards that is the participation. Yeah, you will have immediately a different impact if you offer people to participate in the supply chain of the renewable energy uptake, and not just put the wind turbines in the backyard and say, we're earning the money, but you have to deal with it. No, participate this, and this is sort of the best trick to convert socio-political acceptance into community acceptance. which resulted in Germany to, and we will hear from Peter Moser a great deal about that, because we have him here in the room, who runs the 100% network in Germany, 100% regions, more than representing more than 20 million people in Germany have basically committed to a 100% renewable energy target. No matter whether the German nationwide target or the European target is different, they just commit to a 100% renewable energy target in their particular region. Some of them on primary energy, some of them only for electricity. And this is how it looks like. This is the city of Dadesheim, which is always a good example. They are producing already more electricity than they need. And they sell it to the grid and they make business with it. And we will talk today about this fact that most of the renewable energy facilities in Germany installed are not coming from the big four, from the big energy companies, but are coming from new market participants, from farmers, from cooperatives, from new initiatives, from funds, from private people just installing solar panels on their rooftop. And I won't go into the detail because Peter will speak about it, but the main aspect of these regions of setting this target is the local value creation. It's not even environmental aspects. It's not even, you know, I like solar more than this. It's about the local value creation and the clear understanding of, well, actually I can make money with it. There is wind and I can, you know, and we have the technology to convert it into basically electricity, and I can, in fact, make money with it. So one of the key formulas of the global energy transformation, no matter whether you speak about Germany or about Europe or what other areas you speak about. It is about participation, and about participation triggers the acceptance or the support for renewable energy, and the acceptance then triggers the investments. So similar developments in Austria or on the European scale that have set a variety of issues and then came up with measures to address these issues. My point is here to basically emphasize that if we are serious about the energy transformation, we must not think only in electricity production and electricity generation. We must think of a holistic approach that includes the social aspects and the economic aspect, the environmental aspect, really. Then, you know, the aspect of resilience and sustainability and equity. And then, you know, convert this idea and this concept into the local aspect through recognizing the international urgence for the renewable energy development. And then you get the strategy, and then you get to a community power roadmap that helps you increasing the renewable energy aspect and basically transforming the energy sector. What are the key challenges for the electric or for the energy markets in the long-term future? I think we must accept and we must acknowledge that the total electricity demand will increase. We will most likely drive our cars with electricity, be it via hydrogen or be it straightly through batteries. We will create access to energy for many people in the world that have no access to electricity at this stage. 2 billion people have no access to electricity, and you know, there's a strong interest of giving justice to everyone and share the benefits of electricity. So the increase of electricity is something that we can provide for our strategy. Secondly, the largest share of the global electricity production will come from private individuals and local communities. Why? Because, again, you can't do it without them. You have to include them, and then you will be successful. Thirdly, the transformation of the global energy sector from burning fossil resources to using renewable energy is accelerating. And as I said, the development of renewable energy will very soon be not too slow, but it will be slowed down because the business model of the energy companies where we're coming from has not adapted to the decentralized character of renewable energies. A few more points, and then and then I'm done. the transition of the energy sector is also strengthening our democracies. That's what I think. And here are the three main points why I do think that this is the case. Democracy is closely related to the question of, as I said, to the question of participation. So people who are participating in our economy are active people, are understanding the system, are involved in the decisions that are to take, and will be able to accept and support infrastructure measures. So I think this is a benefit for our democracy. And these aspects of democracy building and strengthening our society, strengthening our communities, also needs to be taken into account when designing the roadmap for the energy transformation. We've heard this yesterday, and we've discussed it yesterday as well, the role of farmers in particular for the energy transformation, and the role the farmers played in our society for providing us with food, and their understanding of providing the society with food and with energy. So farmers are clearly in the driving seat for the energy transformation, and this needs to be taken into account when designing the strategy. My last two slides are just quickly, I think the next big thing is think 100%, go 100% renewable energy. The World Future Council and ICEP and other organizations such as the World Wind Energy Association have established a new global campaign for 100% renewable energy communities, and we will hear about that throughout the next 2 days. And I think, yes, this is the way to go. Don't think only 20%, don't think only 30%. Really ask questions if experts tell you that it's not possible. I can only tell you from my experience in Germany, when the renewable energy amount was at 10%, we've been told by the big energy companies, 10%, it's absolutely impossible, we cannot make more than 10% because we will have blackouts, the grid will collapse. Then we went to 15%. And then we heard again, no, it's technically not feasible, more than 15%. As I say, now we're at 25%. Yeah, we're at 25% now, and of course it is technically possible. What a society wants is something that we can make possible. And my last slide is just reminding this 4 statues of the energy transformation. It's of course not what Mr. Gandhi had in mind when he came up with this, but if you look into the energy transformation, there's no better quote covering the 4 different statues of the energy transformation than first, they ignore you. They think you're just, they don't look at you. Then secondly, they laugh at you and think, he's building wind turbines and he thinks about 100%. That's funny, But then they see that you're actually successful, and then they fight you. And that's what we've witnessed in Germany. They tried to sue the feed-in tariff law. They tried to fight the feed-in tariff law on various levels. They went to the court and tried to get rid of the feed-in tariff, and they're still trying it. But the first level is, then you win. Thank you very much.